question for Ask the Doctor is music or noise and anxiety. Well, that's a very broad subject. We can talk about different kinds of noises easily, but let's discuss anxiety. Anxiety is usually the fact that there's some kind of distress in the system, and from a neurological point of view, there are definite imbalances. When we help patients get balance within their nervous system, the stuff that happens to them doesn't hit them nearly as hard. It's not as harsh. They're able to deal with it better. Most of what the brain does isn't activate. Most of it is what we call inhibition. It tells it to relax, take a chill pill, or shut up, right? And so whenever there's anxiety, I'm thinking, where's the imbalancement? And oftentimes the things that we're doing are creating a greater disparity. The brainstem itself is usually one of the major players. The brainstem, cerebellum, and then the disparity between the two hemispheres are usually big players in all of this. The brainstem itself, particularly at the top, the mesencephalon, has a cuneiform nucleus. It also has all the areas that we tend to sense hypersensitivities. Sensitivities to light, sound, smells, taste, sensitivities to changes in schedules or whatever. They're harsh. It's kind of like a slap in the face, and the reason is because in that area are all those things, but also very closely in the center is called the ventral tegmentum, and it goes to the emotional brain. And so somebody shines a light in my face, and it's like getting slapped in the face. It becomes harsh and emotional. It's a limbic experience. And so that's where those symptoms are coming from. And the disparity between the two hemispheres, if one is way different than the other, the greater the difference, the greater the symptoms. The greater the difference, the greater the angst, the anxiety, or the depression, or the greater the other symptoms, like a migraine headache. It's so much worse. We balance it out, and it's way less. The symptoms are, and so those are the things that relate to noises that can make anxiety worse. But then there are noises that can make anxiety better, especially if we use those noises in an appropriate way and use them to rebalance the system, which is what we just talked about. Remember, we say here all the time, the closer you get to the truth, the simpler the solution. It just kind of lays itself out in front of you. And that's what we're doing here. We've already established, where these anxieties come from within the brain from a circuitry point of view, but now we can say, okay, let's say we want to diminish anxiety. There are genres of music that tend to be more relaxing. There are those that tend to be, more motivational and jack the system up, and that we all know which ones those are. What's really interesting is you can have a significant anxiety because of an imbalancement of dopamine to serotonin, and if you listen to music generally, and let's say you need dopamine, you can play rock and roll, but if both ears hear it, if you hear it on both sides, it's going to create angst because there's already an imbalancement. But if you need dopamine and we hit the side that needs it the most, meaning if I got a left brain that needs dopamine and I'm hitting it with music that is driving dopamine, and I put an earplug on this side, it will help boost that left brain and boost the dopaminergic parts of that brain, and all of a sudden I'll start to calm. That's kind of weird to think about, that it could do that, but it can. But so often we are imbalanced and we don't realize that it's really more on the one side that's harsh compared to the other. Could it be both sides? Yeah, another issue altogether. If the midbrain is ramped up on both sides, now anything from anywhere is going to be a problem. And the biggest issue we normally see with that is too much carbon dioxide. I'm not breathing very well. And so you can do hyperventilation exercises, and as you do those hyperventilation exercises, that angst will come down, and then you'll find out, well, it's actually only harsh on one side compared to the other. Now we're back to where the real problem is, and that. So hopefully that's helpful in that, but we were discussing those kinds of noises. Other things that you can do, theta wave. I recommend theta wave. I use it to get to sleep and then to go, if I wake up, to go back to sleep. Delta wave is for deep sleep, but those are wave patterns your brain is supposed to be making. What they're trying to do is model those and have those waves coming into you on a regular basis, so that the brain likes to not only hear them but to reproduce them. So hopefully that gave you some insights into that, and remember, we're here when you're ready to take your life back.